Morning today is Tuesday, August 21st, 2018. It's a regular meeting of the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning. Let the record reflect Commissioner Sobroff, Figueroa, and Goldsmith are present, and we have a quorum.
Okay, let's start with item number 1. We have public comments on on the 4 items. Let's start with 1A.
Okay, we have 3 comment cards on 1A. We have Mr. Herman, Michael Novick, and Jonathan Foster.
Okay.
Just start him off.
You can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Check. Mic check, check. It's good, Silvero. So, on August 15th, 2018, we have major cities that are partaking in the Chiefs Association conference. Now, for that conference, I'd like to submit for the record my one-page article, Mr. Sobroff, to the Sergeant of Arms. This is for the record for Mr. Mark P. Smith, Inspector General. Once again, these conferences deal with international association of how, for example, departments fail to equip officers with sufficient de-escalation skills as part of the program's conference.
Off topic. This is only about the travel authority. This isn't about what happened at the conference.
Well,
So keep going.
relative, sir, to my comment, as I said, relative to my comment, I'm going to get to that point. You see, travel is very important because chief of police needs to travel from one meeting to another, from one conference to a neighborhood meeting. Now, without proper travel authority, he would never get around with the traffic in Los Angeles. I have trouble coming in on the train this morning because it's so full. You have to wait for the next train. That's a part of travel. And then when you get in the bus, sometimes there's delays. It's another part of travel. But I've never seen Michael Moore on any of these public transportations. I would advise
It's off
this
topic.
commission
So anyway,
that,
let's
pardon
go
me?
to, do you want to give your
I
speech
got
on number
13
B?
seconds. So
No, you don't. I said you're off topic twice, so you're done with that one. You want to go to B?
B?
Did you have a comment card on B?
I turn a comment card on every item, sir.
Great. So let's do B.
B.
Now.
All right. Department's fucking report, dated August 15, 2018, for a relative travel fucking authority for the chief of police, with all credit, Mr. Michael Moore, to attend the Los Angeles County Police Chief Association. Am I on topic, Mr. Attorney? No comment. Thank you, sir. LACPCA, this acronym, whether it stands for Los Angeles Corporation Political Crime Antics, is a workshop. And in these workshops, they discuss, wow, Temecula? Temecula is not a part of Los Angeles. Temecula is all about wine drinking and the consumption and necessity for more alcohol, Mr. Sobroff. Then, what's the next item, sir?
C.
You said? C?
Yeah,
C. See you.
that's good.
Relative to another monetary Dodger donation under LL Kanabi and Englander to utilize food for recreational activities and events. Now, it doesn't mention whether or not we're going to have cadets participating in this activity for $1,380, Mr. Sobroff. Will we have any cadets, Mr. Sobroff? Will there be cadets engaging in this Dodger recreational activity? No answer, right? But the event is for the benefit of the Northeast Area Cadet Program. The same fucking program we heard about cadets being fucked by the police.
Off
MOU.
topic. We want to go on to number D now?
Then D, relative of another donation regarding $15,790 point decimal 76 cents for the Police Foundation used for media relations, as we have the media behind me, who want to partake, but I think we should double the amount because the media needs the same activities.
Off topic?
What do you mean off topic? I haven't even got to the point yet, sir.
That's the point.
What, media relations?
No, you're off topic.
No, I haven't got to the video release, sir. Why don't you be patient, Sobrov, so you don't have to have people being upset all the time?
Go ahead.
Thank you. See, to get sugar, give some honey. So, in regards to the equipment necessary for incident video release, like with Keisha Wilson, those 22 absent minutes.
Off topic.
of a-
Okay, so next speaker on item number, thank you. No, you don't. Thank you.
Ralph M. Brown Act, right?
On
54950.
1A, who's the
Sir,
next
we
speaker?
have Michael Novick on 1A, 1B, and 1D, and then we have Jonathan Foster on 1A, 1B, and 1D.
Okay. Mr. Novick, sir.
Morning, I'll be brief. In relation to 1A, the authorization to travel to the International Association of Chiefs of Police, I want to point out to the Board of Police Commissioners that the International Association of Chiefs of Police is associated with the concept that community-oriented policing is the domestic equivalent of psychological operations in the military.
This is about travel authority to that, not
Yes,
about
I
your
think you should
opinion
not
about the
be-
organization. So you're off topic, so do you want to go on topic, please?
No, my point
I
is
wanna go
that
on
he
topic.
should not be authorized to travel to that organization because it's involved with the militarization of police, and that it involves the concept that community-oriented policing is part of the militarization of the police, that it treats the public as somebody to be thought-controlled. So I think that you should not authorize his travel to that organization. And I think you need to be conscious of what kind of organizations you're associating the Los Angeles Police Department with. Related to that, item 1B, I said I'd be brief, and I'm not even going to take
Thank
2
you.
minutes for the whole thing. I'd appreciate you allow me to finish. 1B talks about a meeting of the Police Chiefs Association strategic planning workshop. And again, I think that betrays the concept that you think of policing as a military type of activity.
Okay.
When you talk about strategy, you're talking about military operations. And I think that you need to stop thinking about the police department in that way, and you need to stop sending the police chief to meetings that conceive of policing in that way and transform the nature of the police department in this city, because the result of that type of thinking is the killing of people by the police department. You have the most murderous department in the country, and that has to stop and change. The last one I'll say is related to 1D. Again, it portrays the kind of thinking you have. You mandated yourselves to release the information to the public regarding critical incidents and the use of violence and force by the police department, and now you're assigning it to the Media Relations Division. This means that you're dealing with propaganda, and it's part of the mentality that the police department is trying to control the thinking and the thought processes of the people of this city. You need to stop that. You need to think about what you're doing and the context and the language that you operate in, because it reflects in your practice and your behavior in ways that are detrimental to the people of this city.
Okay.
Then we
Next
have
speaker.
Jonathan Foster, 1A, 1B, and 1D.
Morning, Mr. Foster, 1A.
Hi, good morning. I'd just like to introduce myself again. I'm Jonathan Foster. I come out of a family that has 60 straight years of service to the United States military. I did sign up to run for president. I was P600220068, and I know I can be shot dead at any time.
Okay.
So I wrote down some comments. This 1A, B, and D does seem to fall in line with a lot of things. So I will start, because it's easy to pop your head off and pull you around by the nostrils. I'd like to give some suggestions. One of the other problems is getting officers on the job to begin with. Please communicate this, Chief, when you go to speak to people. Many people don't want this job, so I feel we're getting too many young people who do not have the qualifications they think they have, and it's too soon. It's much, much, much too soon. Some of the other suggestions.
Are you still on 1A?
Yes, sir. Or it does relate to B because you're going to have a police chief speaking to people.
Okay, so
on
let's go to
strategic planning.
1B. Start the clock, please.
Well, it all is completely related. There's no marksmanship here, especially with the knife and the woman that got shot in the head. Everyone is a novice with the gun. They don't know how to shoot accurately or properly. Never bad student, only bad teacher. The culprit is who is training the police.
Okay.
So whoever teaches them.
Let's go on topic,
Yeah,
please.
no, sir. It's about how he should help the police department. He's going to be talking there. But the police manual tells the teacher how to teach the recruit. So even the teacher isn't responsible.
Mr. President, the speaker's off topic.
needs to
Okay, so
change.
you're off topic on B. So your last one
He's
was on,
going to
was it
be,
on D?
he is going to be
Let's start the
speaking
clock
to,
for-
he is going to be
let's start the
speaking to
clock on
other
number
police
1D.
officers. He's
You're
going to
on
be
1D now.
speaking to other police officers. Okay. Well, you did do a video release policy, and I did read the stuff that I printed on your post of a video of these strategic video releases. You see, and what we're also having is an issue where the police are they need 5 years of training minimum. 5 years of training. Every police officer needs to be 30 years old or older.
Mr. President, he's off
Cannot
topic.
topic.
have anyone less
Last
than
warning.
30 years old. No, he's going to be communicating this, right?
No,
He's
you're-
going to a meeting where he will talk
No,
to other
you-
police
You're
chiefs.
on 1D now.
Yes, and it's all related.
No,
I'm
it's
trying
not.
to help you guys not look so bad.
Okay.
You should sober off from your power trip. That's what sober off means. Sober off,
Okay.
dude.
Okay, so that's the end of this one. Let's, we have a motion for approval of items number 1A, B, C, and D. Do we have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, let's go to item number 3A.
Item number 3A, Department's Report dated August 14, 2018, relative to the Custody Services Division Audit, AD number 17-005.
Are there any questions regarding the audit? Okay, so we don't really, we don't need a presentation. Are there any? Thank you.
We do have 3 comment cards, sir.
If I may
Yeah.
interject
Yes.
very briefly before we go to
Don't
public
go off
comment.
topic on me.
If I can draw your attention to the second paragraph within the audit report.
Yeah.
Which quite frankly is the same language we have in this audit report and every audit report that comes before you. In the very near future, that language is going to change. Currently, there's an exception. Essentially what it says is that we follow the government auditing standards except that we had not undergone a peer review. Well, on the week of August 6th, Los Angeles Police Department Audit Division underwent a successful and completed its first peer review, which is an accreditation.
Good.
Under the generally accepted government auditing standards. These standards are promulgated by the U.S. Government Accountability Office, and although Audit Division is not under any obligation to follow these standards, Audit Division has opted to abide by these rigorous standards as a way to fall according to industry standards and maintain a high level of professionalism. Moreover, according to the Association of Local Government Auditors who facilitated the peer review, LAPD Audit Division is the first law enforcement in the nation to have undergone this peer review. Having the distinction of passing a peer review is monumental in demonstrating and acknowledging the quality of work conducted by Audit Division. The objective of a peer review is to determine whether an audit organization's overall quality control system is suitably designed and operating effectively. A peer review also provides assurance that an audit organization is following its established policies and procedures and applicable government auditing standards. Aside from the diligent work at every level within Audit Division to prepare and implement a quality control system over the span of 2 years, this week-long peer review examined audits that were presented before the Police Commission from January 2017 through June of 2018. The examination involved the following processes: a review of Audit Division's written policies and procedures, review of internal monitoring procedures, audit engagements and associated work papers, review of documents related to independence, audit staff continuing professional education, development of audit staff, and also involved interview of audit staff and its management to assess their understanding with relevant quality control procedures. This success is not attributed to one single person at Audit Division, but certainly a collective team effort within the division. And certainly, so as a commanding officer of Audit Division, I'm extremely proud of this accomplishment. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention. This isn't a one-time effort. We will be undergoing a peer review every 3 years.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can you please state your name for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry, Commanding Officer of Audit Division, Jeffrey Phillips.
Okay, we
Thank
have
you.
public comments, please.
Okay, we have Mr. Herman, the Red Chief, and Michael Novick.
Okay.
Well, there are many factors that we left out when it comes to custody services and an audit. In part, we left out the aggressive tactics of custody services. We left out such ammunition for fuel versus them. And what I mean by fuel versus them, the fuel of this department in its pattern and practice to not stick to the rigorous standard and follow no such review. You see, when you have a division audit on custody service, let's do, for example, what happened to Michael Hunt in 2016 in his false arrest. That was a custody service, right? What about that of Wayne Spindler when they were detained in the
President,
hallway?
speakers
Off
off
topic.
This is dealing with custody, Mr. T. Fank.
This is about an audit, Mr.
Last
Herman.
warning.
And the audit deals with officers' response to display towards community members on their audits, the facts not alienating, but allowing civilians that are meant to serve in this commission to hear the report of the audit as recommendations for the board action, as I disapprove, but some fool wrote approve of the department's report. So retroactively, I'm speaking on behalf of the American people and on behalf of all Angelinos under 42 USC, fuck you.
The Red Chief Hunt, please.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, the Red Chief Hunt. I gotta say this about the audit. Does it match the CDC standards of what you guys do? And has that been considered in there? Because last time I was in Metropolitan Jail, it didn't make any sense what they did and things like that. This is why I say, does it match with the CDC regulations of the audit? And when I was in custody at Metropolitan, it didn't do that. So who can explain to me that the audit is matching the report and things like that of you guys? Thank you, the Red Chief Hunt.
Thank you, sir. Last speaker, Novick.
Yeah, so again, I come before you. I'm a retired English teacher, and language is important to me. So you have here the commanding officer of the audit division who has just audited the custody services division. And I think this reflects, again, the militarization and the bureaucratization of the LA Police Department. You're organized in a paramilitary fashion, even to the point where the person in charge of the audit is a commanding officer. And when you talk about custody, that's not a service. When you hold people in custody, you're responsible for their well-being, and too many people have died in custody in the Los Angeles Police Department. So an audit needs to look at what's involved in that. All the people in custody in the Los Angeles Police Department, as far as I understand, are only suspects that have a presumption of innocence. They're not being punished. They're not being subjected to incarceration. They're being held in custody awaiting trial or some other judicial process. And so the process of an audit needs to look at the nature of the fact that those are all people with the presumption of innocence and human rights that need to be dealt with in a proper fashion. And if people have illnesses or injuries, they need to be treated. And an audit of the so-called services you provide to people in custody needs to look at how many people have died in custody.
And we have no other comment cards, sir?
Motion for approval of the department's report on item 3A, please. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? I'll go to the report of the chief. Good morning, chief.
Commissioners, good morning. And going through my report, I'm going to talk first about the significant incidents and activities. Early this morning, Metropolitan Division officers were working at crime suppression detail in Rampart area of the city. Officers received information from detectives about a robbery suspect. And while the officers were out on patrol, they observed an individual on a bicycle matching the description of that suspect in the area of 3rd Street and Lake. The officers attempted to stop the individual and he fled. The officers pursued him, at which point the individual had pointed what appeared to be a handgun towards the officers. One of the officers fired a single round at the suspect. That round, or the individual, that round did not actually strike anyone. The individual discarded the weapon and continued fleeing from the officers, and he was apprehended a short time later after a short foot pursuit. There was no officers that were injured in this, and the individual that the officers detained and was involved in this use of force was not injured either. A pellet gun was recovered at the scene. As to other significant instances, I'm happy to report this last Saturday began the latest Cadet Leadership Academy. That academy had 450 cadet applications, which is basically on track with our earlier cadet academies. Young women represented 46% of the total applicants, so nearly half of the cadets are young women. And we did see an increase in the number of African American youths representing 6% of the total class, which, while it's an improvement from our last class, I think there's still much more work to be done there, and our efforts with Community Engagement Group and the realignment of the youth programs is meant to help support that. Moving beyond that, to talk briefly about crime statistics, this last week did see an improvement in overall violent crime we're back with a reduction in homicides year to date, 169 homicides this year versus 171 last year. An overall violent crime reduction of 2.2%. So we have a negative or a reduction in each of the violent crime categories as of this morning. Property crime, we continue to see a decrease in burglaries and burglary, theft from vehicles, but as I've reported earlier, our challenges remain in theft from vehicles and just simple thefts. I do want to take note that this last about a month and a half ago, we began taking online reports for thefts. We're seeing about 100 to 150 online reports of thefts now that previously were not being reported or required the citizen or the involved community member to go to a station or require a police response to take that. We'll monitor that. We'll look at that to continue to see if we've improved service where people just are not obligated to report to the station or to make a report, or if in fact we're actually gathering crimes that previously citizens and community members may have just felt wasn't worth their time reporting. We recognize overall that crime is an underreported incident, and that these statistics that I talk about are just general measures of one comparison to another. I am happy to say that this past week our efforts particularly in violent crime, did see an increase in the reduction of victims that have been shot. We have 57 fewer people shot this year than last year, which is a trend that I'd look for us to continue and continue to focus our work on. Overall, gang crime is down 13%, with gang homicides down 20% this year versus last. So those are good numbers, and as we exit August and begin to look towards the fall semester of school starting, this has been a summer that we've seen some upward pressure on our violent crime and overall crime numbers, but I'm satisfied that with the increased level of work that we've seen with increased call load and demands for services of our people, that they've been able to work in partnerships with our communities and engage with our communities in a manner that's keeping us with a reduction overall this year to date versus last year. Moving to officer-involved shootings, not counting the officer-involved shooting from this morning, which was a non-hit. We've had a total of 24 officer-involved shootings this year. Those include those that struck an individual, those 18 of those, and 6 instances in which there was no hit. So that's 24 versus 34 last year, for a reduction of just under 30%. And this year, of the officer-involved shootings, 10 of those 24 have been fatal, versus 12 last year. And our 4-year average is just over 13. So these, obviously, the efforts of us in working with de-escalation and finding ways of resolving these often violent encounters in some other means is a commitment that we're going to continue to pursue. Traffic collision reports. The challenge remains in our bicycles and versus motor vehicles. This year, 10 individuals have died as a result of a bicycle-involved collision. That number was 6 last year. That remains our biggest challenge. We've seen an overall reduction of 11% in motor vehicle versus PED. So I'm happy to see those numbers are improving. And overall traffic collisions were down 3.5% in fatals, 136 people this year versus 141. But again, I think it just brings to mind that we need to focus on better bicycle safety, which many times includes the cyclists themselves, but also the motoring public. And the overall loss of life on our city streets to traffic collisions remains stubbornly too high. Lastly, I move over to our personnel strength. We have 9,961 people, sworn personnel on payroll, 2,963 civilian personnel on payroll, 397 reserve officers, and 55 of our specialist volunteers are our chaplains, and a total of 1,428 cadets. And that concludes my remarks, and happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions, commissioners? Thank you, Chief. Do we have any public comments on the Chief's report?
Yes, sir. We have 6 cards. We have Mr. Herman, Michael Novick, and the Red Chief Hunt.
I believe the statistics in the report do not reflect what's really happening in Colorado. We've heard of a police probe on a boy's death by the name of Damien. What's the investigation on the boy's death? We don't know. It's only one death, one too many. Why are children being killed in an alarming number? Why are those statistics not brought out? Children being raped, children in programs being raped. Why are those not part of the statistics? No one cares if you get shot. For all I know, I could walk out the door and get shot accidentally by someone simply releasing his finger from the trigger because he assumes that my telephone is a weapon. So, under such circumstances and protocol and aggressive and violent police interactions, I know what it's like. I've seen Michael Hunt get arrested. I've seen Wayne Spindler get arrested. These are non-violent members of the public who participate in public meetings, and yet they feel threatened. But due to their adverse ability to recover and come back and stand for what they believe in, which is the First Amendment and our right to protest and check off boxes. Right, Mr. City Attorney? Check out boxes. Do we agree or oppose? Check out boxes. But see, quickly are we to draw attention to people in robberies. Quickly we're to draw attention to minorities who rob people. Quickly we draw attention to people who are killed in part to robberies. So get off your butt and actually do policing that intervenes with the public. As
Next speaker, please.
Aggressive, violent
The next speaker, Michael Novick, please.
tactics.
Mr. Novick?
Someone who gets around the city on foot, on bicycle, and public transportation, I appreciate any efforts that can be made to reduce the number of pedestrian fatalities. I did want to comment on the shootings and killings. The chief referred to the fact that fewer people have been shot this year than last year. But I just want to draw out one of the things he said is that last year, by this point, 12 people had been killed out of, I think, 36 who were shot. This year, 10 people were killed out of, was it 18 of 20? You said 24 people. There were 24 shooting incidents. 10 people got killed, but 6 of them were never hit. So out of 18 people that the LAPD shot, 10 of them were killed. What I'm trying to draw out is that the kill ratio keeps going up. Even if the shooting is going down, you're killing more, as many or more people with fewer shooting incidents. And for many years, the LAPD shot about a person a week and killed about a person a month for a long time since I lived in LA. And recently, it's gone. Those figures have changed. The number of shootings have gone down, but the number of killings have increased. And I think we need to think about why that is. I think it has to do with people being trained in a military fashion, shooting more rounds and killing people more effectively, and I think that's a problem.
Next speaker.
The Red Chief, followed by Jonathan Foster, Valerie Rivera, and Mateo Nagasi.
Thank you, the Red Chief, on this issue. I think as long as the numbers are going down, it's a good thing. If they go up, it's a bad thing. LAPD policing is outdated, so, the theory needs to be changed and the manuals need to be updated. We all know that. But here's the point, is don't shoot anybody in the back. Don't shoot anybody while they're running and things like that. I think that's what the people are talking about, is malice, killing, and shooting people and things like that. Keep the numbers down. Keep doing a good job, Michael Moore. And that's all we can expect from you right now.
Thank you, sir.
This is about the knife incident and the hostage situation you had commented about, and it's comments that I wrote down that that there was no marksmanship here because the lady got shot. It seemed like everybody was a novice with the gun because they didn't know how to shoot accurately. They were very close, and 4 officers there, but then the female actually gets hit. So I said from the movie, never bad student, only a bad teacher. And then I find out, well, it's not really the training, it's what the manual says to teach. So the manual has to change. Police protocol has to change. The officers are too young. Everybody needs to be over 30. They need 5 years of gun training because of the marksmanship. This needs critical evaluation and change. Blood test for all the officers if they shoot a bystander or someone with no gun or weapon. The officer needs a blood test. I do know that you guys are trying to not shoot people. I do know that what you deal with a lot is the people that have a preconceived issue. And knowing what happens in post-traumatic stress, you can tell that the brain cycle problem when they encounter a police officer isn't going to stop. Okay, it's an impulse, circular impulse, electrical, because it's all electricity in here, and it's not stopping. So you can't hardly break through that cycle that's in the person's brain. So, but I just don't think the idea is to shoot and kill them. If we know that this is what's going on, then this is how we can change shooting that person so we can get them past this moment. We have to be able to get the individual past this psychological moment and not kill them.
Morning.
Good morning. I didn't really have too much to say today. I mean, I talk about Eric every single time I come in here, and I can't believe it's been another week. A week passed by so quickly. But I think today I just want to talk a little bit about God and about you all. I think it's really important that you understand that God is by my side, And, you know, Eric's with him. And God has helped me. He has provided and He has guided me through this struggle. And with that, I know my baby's justice is coming. And what is justice to me? Like, no amount of money will ever bring back my baby. I'd rather have him here. But justice to me is making sure that those cops are held accountable. I shouldn't even call them cops because they're poor excuses officers. But Daniel Ramirez and Arturo Urrutia need to be held accountable for the wrongful death of my baby. I got 8 seconds. Can I have my public comment
sure,
real
of
quick?
course.
Thank you. And that their badges are taken away, and that they can never, ever be able to be in law enforcement again. And that the people, which is all you guys, be held accountable too, because you guys are allowing them to get away with this murder. I don't understand how you guys don't cringe with hearing these stories. Like, how does this not affect you all? Don't you guys got God in your life? Don't you want God in your life? God don't like ugly. And it's sad. Because you all get to live your life all fancy. And us parents have to suffer. We're not having our babies with us. I'll never have a grandbaby from Eric. I miss him so much. But y'all don't care. Like, how could you not care about a person's life being taken away wrongfully? They pretty much did a drive-by on Eric. They're a fucking gang. And I just want something from y'all to help with getting them off this force. So thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Mateo Nagasi, please.
Could I have mine back to back as well?
Just start. Go ahead and start.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Mateo, and I plan to read this article every week until Chief Moore gives back the money that he took or that he resigns. This program you're asking about has paid $1.6 billion since 2001 when it was started. This article speaks of collusion and corruption. Even the chief himself stated in the article, "You may call it suspicious timing, but I didn't program it that way," Moore said. Give it back or resign. Before Michael Moore was promoted to become Los Angeles Police Department's new chief in June, he took a brief, highly unusual retirement. He left as chief of operations for only a few weeks before returning to the force in the same job at the same pay. But the move provided him with a financial windfall, a lump sum retirement payment of $1.27 million from the city. The program, which is tried and abandoned in many cities because of the cost, has paid out more than $1.6 billion of our tax dollars in extra pension checks to the Los Angeles police and firefighters since its inception in 2001. After Moore retired for 30 days, the rules required him to stay away for the least 30 days. Moore said that he took a road trip cross country with his wife, skiing in Breckenridge in Colorado, and visiting with his daughter in Nashville, before returning to his $300,000 a year job in March of this year. The retirement also netted him $170,000 for unused sick pay and vacation, city records show, and because he was because he was officially retired, he was able to collect his $240,000 per year pension on top of his salary. That's $540,000 for the chief. Officers don't have to work extra hours or perform extra duties to receive this money. It's reward for longevity.
Was that it for the chief? Do we have
That's it
public,
for-
let's go to public comment, please.
Okay. Go ahead.
Does he have public comment?
Yes, he
card?
does, sir.
Yeah. How many public comment cards do we have?
We have 9.
Okay. So he's first?
He'll be first.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right. Moore received the money thanks to his enrollment in the city's deferred retirement option plan, or DROP, which pays veteran cops and firefighters their pensions in addition to their salaries for the last 5 years of their career. The extra pension payments go into a special account that the employee receives at the end of the 5 years, so long as they formally attire. Moore said in his interview that the plan to have him retire, then return almost immediately to work, was proposed by former Chief Charlie Beck and approved by Mayor Garcetti. It's common for the senior LAPD and LAFD officials to receive large drop payments on their way out the door. Since 2008, 51 members of the departments with chief in their title, assistant chief, deputy chief, battalion chief, chief, have completed the program. Of those, 6 have walked away with more than $1 million. Their average payment, $794,000. You want to know why Los Angeles is not the city we live in, but the city we struggle in? It's because we have law enforcement stealing our tax dollars while they arrest, harass, bully, and abuse our most vulnerable citizens, all happening under the watchful eye of greedy Garcetti. Our mayor is in the pocket of the LA Police Department and the LA Fire Department to the tune of $1.6 billion since 2001. Our tax dollars making millionaires of civil servants while the city is in crisis. How do you guys feel about that?
The next 3 speakers, please. Mr. Herman, Michael Novick, and the Red Chief Hunt.
Herman?
At what fault have officers systemic use of heavy-handed tactics? Well, you heard public comment. You heard the speakers before me. They were all politically right. Violent police interactions for highly discretionary charges, as you did to Wayne Spindler and Michael Hunt, falsely arresting them for failure to obey. Problematically, systematically, systemic. The agency still has an ongoing aggressive tactics like that of T-Fank. Mr. Herman's off topic. Sit your ass down. The LAPD teaches officers to use heavy-handed tactics. It must stop. It must come before the Inspector General to stop these allegations that I am talking about. We all see the troubling tactics. A tactic in an operation. This is why deadly force is being used. Deadly force is being used. But there's no problems in Los Angeles. You heard the chief's report. Everything is fine, damn dandy. But no. See for the record, Holland versus Harrington, 268 F3D 1179-1192. The 10th Circuit, 2001. You got that, rookie attorney? Do you got that? Let me read it for you one more time. Emphasize your point. Holland versus Harrington, 268 F3D 1179-1192. 10th Circuit, 2001. Stop bringing violent punishment to the public for simply engaging in public.
Next speaker, please.
Michael Novick.
My stepson was killed in a motorcycle accident on the August 25th, 11 years ago, and nothing to do with the police, but I hope that none of you have to, deal with the loss of a child. It's very, very painful. It's painful to me every week that I come here and I hear the families talking about the loss of their children. I go to the demonstrations at the DA's office. I think that you need to open your hearts to what you hear here. I see you closing your minds. I don't know what your hearts do about it. You're constantly trying to shut people up, shut people down, tell people they're off topic.
Herman, stop disrupting the meeting. Last warning.
I think if you're tired of hearing from what I think you think of as the usual suspects as a simple solution, take your meetings out of this building, have them at night in the community, where the wide variety of people who live in the city can give you direct testimony about what their experience is with the LAPD. You hide in here inside the police administration building because you don't want to hear the truth from the people of this city, and you're negligent and derelict in your duty and responsibility.
Next speaker.
The Red Chief Hunt, followed by Jonathan Foster and Audrey George.
I want to talk about this motion granted by the federal courts about the arrest that I had. It's serious, and it shouldn't have never been done. They granted me the motion to amend the case, the First Amendment part and things like that. So overall, I don't dislike you, but the way you're running the meetings really have to change. Pregerson said in Dow versus the City of Los Angeles, they only have 2 minutes to speak. Let them say whatever. 2 minutes is not a long time. My job right now is to really reiterate the laws of the land and everybody's be held accountable. So what I want to see you guys do is have leadership. Lead the right way, do things the right way. Michael Moore, I'm gonna give you a fair chance to do what you said you was gonna do. It's on you. I'm so happy that you got paid and that you're getting paid, things like that. I'm not a hater. I'm a congratulator. So, keep on getting paid, keep on doing a good job. And to the commission, just be aware I'm watching what's going on. I'm a First Amendment expert. You can ask Susan Siegel. Part was granted.
Thank you, sir.
Jonathan Foster, followed by Audrey George and John Avalos Rios.
I have a wide, broad amount of comments this time, but one would be that Sheriff Lee Baca is just like Charlie Beck. The corruption is pretty evident. I like to also remember that a white schizophrenic dude named Kelly Thomas was sat on by the police until he suffocated to death. It's unbelievable. But I have to remember why I really came down here. It's about Special Order 40, and I don't know the Shaw family, but it's a pretty sick thing to hear that Special Order 40 is not going away, sanctuary cities are not going away, and that nobody ever talks about Jose Espinoza's mom and how if Jose Espinoza was deported, he would still be alive, and his mom wouldn't have to visit her son in jail, and Jamil Shaw would be alive. Why didn't that happen? And instead, his mom has to visit her son in jail and see a murderer and know that Jamil Shaw is gone. in Special Order 40 did this. They say, well, no, he was let out of Culver City. And this is when I find out that ICE is in bed with Homeland Security, with the FBI, and all these chiefs get together at these meetings. And then I was like, well, I should bring those guys a box of condoms so they can keep screwing each other.
Thank you.
Well, I'm not done. I got
Oh, I
31
thought you were
seconds.
done. I'm sorry.
Isn't it amazing how powerful silence is? God said, be still and hear God. I mean, you really got a problem. You really do got a problem. Jamil Shaw was incorrectly killed by a Special Order 40. Jimmy Carter killed, aiding and abetting, killed Jamil Shaw, just like Tony Villar killed Jamil Shaw.
Audrey George, please.
Morning.
I call upon this commission to truly be independent, providing civilian oversight and bringing some degree of accountability to the LAPD. It's important that Chief Moore never be able to refer to you as his commission. I call upon you, now that you've heard all of the facts presented by Stop LAPD Spine Coalition about PredPol and about SARS, you need to not only investigate and audit those programs, you need to suspend them right now while your audits and investigations are going on. You need to refuse to approve reports when even you know that they're flawed and incomplete. You can say, this report needs to be amended, revised, fixed, expanded. You don't have to approve faulty reports. You need to start refusing money that comes from, refusing to let the LA Police Foundation provide money to the LAPD. You need to look into whether or not the community is really wrong about all of the conflict of interest there. You need to refuse to find in policy cases like Eric Rivera's, where there's no way you can feel that the actions that day were in policy. You need to really open your hearts and your minds. Consider the humanity of the victims of those shootings. Honor the families. Preserve the presumption of innocence, which is supposed to be a foundation of this country. You need to start meeting in the community, outside this place, outside this time, when working people and students can attend your meetings. You need to amend your...
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
John Avalos Rios, followed by Hamed Khan and Gino Viola.
Yes, I agree with everything Audrey just said. That's awesome that the killings are going down. Mr. Moore, that's good news. And we talked about what happens when the Olympics gets here and none of these issues are resolved. But what I want to say is, let's look at statewide. I've been adding a lot of friends, a lot of killings in San Jose. The Chicano community in San Jose is like, there's all these new killings every day. San Diego, oh my God. They keep coming in, the familias, about their sons getting killed in San Diego. So I'm sorry, but we fix LA a little bit, cool, but things are an epidemic. We're not even talking nationwide yet. So I'm looking at the concept epidemic. Oh my God. So this isn't a wonderful world right now. And then you bring up the issues of your cadet leadership academy. Okay, you got that in the community. You got the police magnet academies, one in Highland Park, maybe more at a junior high. And you got, of course, the ROTC program. One of my activist mothers, her daughter's in high school, and she was like totally isolated and criminalized in her school, in the environment, because it's already pro-police. So once activist high school kid tries to express herself about what's going on here, Imagine what she went through at her high school. They accused her of being mentally ill. She told her story to us the other day at the Jackie Lacey protest, the high school kid. It's horrible because the environment in the schools does not allow us to try to speak out. Pretty bad.
Thank you. Hamid Khan, please, followed by Gina Viola.
I think you should very seriously pay heed to what Audrey just lifted about the laser Pret poll and the SAR program. And actually, previous Commissioner Cynthia McLean-Hill called for the discontinuation of the Chronic Offender Bulletin. I just want to touch on a couple things that while a lot of attention was paid on laser and the Chronic Offender Bulletin, Shane Goldsmith, you're going to be leading this committee, but Pret poll is digital redlining. I'm going to say that again. Pret poll is digital redlining. We've had a history of redlining, where a whole community is criminalized, it's pathologized, and literally quarantined. This is what digital redlining is, where the presumption of guilt is assigned to a whole neighborhood, and these 500 by 500 square foot blocks are created, and everybody is a criminal in those blocks. So that needs to stop, and that needs to be investigated very thoroughly, that what human and civil rights have been violated. We're looking forward to the audit. We're going to hold you responsible, but our demand remains that these programs need to be dismantled. The second piece I want to lift is about the public records process now. And out of a lawsuit, it has recently been more digitized. But that is extremely user unfriendly. And if you're not fully computer literate, it is very difficult because we are in a process, we have an open lawsuit, California Public Records Act lawsuit against LAPD, and we're having trouble trying to open files and everything else, so that is a huge issue that we are facing. And what is also happening is that you're setting yourself up for more attorney fees and more charges as well, because LAPD is refusing to release chronic offender bulletins. They're claiming investigatory exemptions. But we have documentation that when there are professors who are doing research, they open these books up to them. We have documentation that Sarah Brains, who was embedded with the LAPD, who was a professor at UT Austin, they gave her the chronic offender bulletin. They've given it to the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. Why can't they release it to the public? You're just adding more and more. We're going to go
Next speaker, please.
The next speaker, please, Gina Viola, followed by Michelle Hope Walker, and that's all.
Morning.
Echoing what my colleagues have said, disband Pred poll, laser, SAR immediately, and the audit needs to be done so that the communities that have been harmed can be repaid for the harm that's been done. It is difficult for me to say anything that Valerie didn't already say here this morning. I think it's very egregious for the chief to discuss officer-involved shootings without even acknowledging the mother sitting in the room in front of you of a son who was killed by an officer, 2 officers, incompetent officers that you then found in policy. So we come week after week, and we're pointing these things out to you, and we're going to continue to do so, but these meetings are completely inaccessible. Today, for me to be successful in my day, I had to drive here, which means I'm an hour late because I'm circling and I'm trying to find parking and I'm trying to deal with how I can get here and still work and still be a mother of school children and try and hold your feet to the fire to do what you're supposed to be doing. These meetings need to be at night. They need to be in the community. The chief needs to sit before you, not with you. I'm glad that Audrey pointed out, please do not call this your commission, as your former predecessor did many, many times. You can't control the racism within this room. You're not controlling it out in the community. In fact, you're fostering it. You are the watchdogs of white supremacy. You need to know this. You need to know that every decision that you make furthers that. You okay the killings of people in the back running away. That's what you do week after week when you listen to our comments and very quickly say, all in favor? You don't even pause for 5 seconds to listen to what anyone in the community has said to you before you're saying, next speaker. Aye.
Michelle Hope Walker.
Is this the last speaker?
This is the last speaker, sir.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, I am United States of America 2020 presidential candidate, Michelle Hope Walker. My key thing of coming to the meeting is because I'm very involved in different things. And again, we thank you for all the officers that do their job. I signed up one time to, actually in a couple places, to be a police officer to serve the community and to help in the community. Made it all the way through one of the processes, but decided to look more at law. I have a brother that's been an officer for over 30-something years. And I just seen one of my great officers that in my area, Koreatown, well, now he's somewhere else though, but was a very good help. So, but at the same time, I do thank all the advocates that come out because we need the checks and balances. And Michael, I've been keeping up with you and you being brought in. So, a lot of key issues, the key thing is, yes, just continuing to ask for fairness. I'm a black woman, and we are constantly being targeted. A lot of times they just start watching us because we're a black woman somewhere. And I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just walking across the street. But anyway, I'm a comedian too, so that ties in with it. But yeah, so we deal a lot with that. And then knowing that, let's keep it real. Police just started out with slavery, with tracking blacks and tracking the slavery. But God is good, hold the Bible up, that can evolve, that now it's about the safety in the community and helping people, So the key thing is just let's all work together. Let's all be honest. It seems like it's a lot of lack of transparency. I pray for all of you all. And I pray that, you'll be honest and real, and please help stop the killings. I'm from Illinois. I've lived in Atlanta. I've never seen so many killings. One time in Koreatown, that one shooting when they shot 40 shots, we were across the street. They could have killed us trying to shoot one guy that was in the car. He wasn't even a threat to them. And I was like, oh my God, So we're just praying that you continue to better the system, and thank God for all of you all, advocates and police and all.
Thank you.
We have no other comment cards, sir. The Board of Police Commissioners will now recess into closed session to discuss item number 5A1.
Great. Thank you.
Of 6A, in accordance with Government Code 54957. The Board of Police Commissioners has concluded its work in closed session. We are back in open session. In closed session, item number 6A was discussed. Mr. President, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Do we have a second? All in favor?
Thank you.